I've just done a quick hookup of this video board from Baby Pacman to a jammer switcher just to see if I'm getting exactly the same thing on my cab, and I am. I'm getting 10 flashes and it's completely constantly looping with the theme tune, so I'll just power it and I'll show you what I mean. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then just loops. I've checked the voltages, TP3 ground, TP1 5 volts, I'm getting bang on 5 volts, TP5 I'm getting 8.28 volts, it should be 8.2, and TP6 seems a bit low, 12 volts unregulated, I'm getting 10.48 volts. It's a bit of an update on Baby Pacman. I've had a look at the video board. Pretty much checked the entire board, couldn't find any faults, and decided to swap the 6809 CPU for the one I had on a corroded board, because I knew that once the board actually started to fail on test 3, that the interaction failure was between the CPU and the ROM at U12. So swap the CPU and the board is now running, so I'll just show you that in action. So we'll see 10 flashes, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then you get 6 on the MPU, which we've just missed. When I fired this up first time when I put the board back in, I was getting some smoke, and I think it was coming from the playfield. So I've temporarily disconnected the playfield from the power board, because I think it's one of the solenoids that's actually not working correctly. So the only other issue I've got now is, unfortunately, I'm not getting what I expect on screen. I'm getting this. In fact, I was getting something slightly better than that before. Let me just go and adjust the sync. Yeah, so I was actually getting something better than that before. It's changing colour now. It seems like it's out of sync. But I've put it in video test mode and also messed around with the sync on the actual video board, and I'm just getting basically nothing on the monitor. You can see some of the lights are flashing there. I think just 2 I can see now. There you go, that's slightly better than what I'm getting before. It looks like it's out of sync, but obviously there's a red colour to the screen, which is not quite right. So I think the best thing I can do at the moment is try and work out where the fault is, whether the fault is actually on the video board or actually the monitor. So I think what I can possibly do is take the video board back out and try and hook that up to a monitor, so I can actually see what's coming out of it and whether it's just gibberish like this, or whether it's actually a proper stable picture. So I've hooked the video board to a 1084S monitor. Don't seem to be getting much on screen. Looks like the board's out of sync. But when I press the video test, I'm actually getting a picture. So let me show you what's happening. So if I press the video test, I'm getting the yellow, cyan, green, magenta, red, blue, etc. But I can't really stabilise that picture anymore. I don't know if it's only meant to output on a certain monitor, but if I adjust the sync, just grab the adjustment, just can't get it any better than that at all. Does seem to be the best I can get it there, about there. Okay, so I've noticed something else. I get a flash of something on screen, but if I wait for the board to fully initialize and I press the video test, I do get the communication screen, but that seems to be at a different sync point to where the colour test is. If I show you what's going on here, so it's firing up, I'm getting lines on the screen, and then a flash of something there, and then if I just leave it for a second, okay, so then press video test, I'm getting a communication screen there. Now that seems to be a different sync point to, so I've got that synced up now, okay, probably about there is the best I'm going to be able to get. And then if I press the video test, that's meant to jump to the colour setup. So if I press that, the sync is in a totally different place. So I have to adjust the sync again to kind of straighten it up a bit. So that doesn't seem right at all. Game is back in the cab now, so just going to fire it up. So if I press the video test button like before, I can hear immediately that's what I'm getting on screen. That does actually look like the colour setup, doesn't it? Like squashed up. I think that's what that is. So I think there is an issue with the monitor. That's actually different from what I was getting before on the initial power up. I'm just getting a black screen now. Let me just see if I can press the test button again. Yeah, so that's with the test button pressed. So that's going to be the communication screen. I'm just getting like a repeating line. I'll try and adjust the sync again, see what happens. That definitely looks like where the sync is meant to be, because the actual screen is static. It's not moving. Well, shaking a little bit, but I'm just getting lines on the screen. And that's at the video test screen. It's shaking a bit. Static and then it shakes. I don't know if we can capture that. Yeah, it's shaking a little bit. Up and down. So I'm just running the diagnostic checks. The communication test is the first one, and as you can see on the right hand side there's absolutely nothing whatsoever. So the video board and the MPU are not communicating with each other. Next test is the lamp test, and you can see on here, see the P and the C is out. Kind of hard to see. They're all okay. So fruits, tunnel. I think there's a couple at the back. If I'm right, let me just have a look underneath. Yeah, so 3 lights out altogether. So the P, the C, so P and the C, and also there is an arrow light there, and that's out as well. So if I flick to the next test, this is a solenoid test. So there's nothing on 4 which is correct, there's nothing on 6 which is correct, and 10 is the right hand side, so that's not firing. But you can see 2 and 4 not supposed to fire. So it's just the 10 that's, so that right hand, this right hand hole here is not firing for some reason, so I need to have a look at what's securing there. Next test is sound, seems to be working okay. Next one's a switch test, so the joystick's working okay. It says 20 there, so I need to have a look at what that means, but I think it's meant to allow me to player 2, sorry, the start button 1 is changing to number 6, so that is working. Try number 2, that's not doing anything at all. Okay, so checking the coins, they seem to be working, so it's changing to 10 and 9. Buttons are not doing anything. Flippers are not doing anything. Okay, so there's I need to check on the list exactly what all the numbers are, what they correspond to, so I can check all the individual parts. And next test is to do with high scores. Coin credits are saying 7, so that's obviously registered what I'd just done. That's saying 0 now. It had 7 on from obviously when I was messing about before then with the switches. I think that's wrong as well. Total plays. So you can kind of see I'm pretty much in business now. I've got the game actually working. The problem I had was the MPU has had some battery corrosion in the past, and the 2 connectors on the bottom of the MPU have been badly damaged. So I've actually changed the pins on the MPU, on the actual board itself, but I've not changed the connectors yet, and that's been good enough to actually get the game on the screen and get communication between the MPU and the video board. But I'm still having issues with pretty much the entire selection of switches on the playfield. So the lights are working, solenoid work is working, the game's working, but I'm still having problems with the switches, and I think it's more than likely going to be the actual connectors on the MPU, because they are fairly green, the pins, they are damaged and they will need replacing, so I need to get them off ASAP, but I'll need to order them. In the meantime anyway, I can actually start a game, and I can kind of half play this, although obviously when I come to scoring it's going to be a little bit difficult. Can't really do this one-handed. So I've just been testing this out in game, and it actually looks like the switches are all working apart from one. It doesn't seem to, for some reason, the switches aren't working in test mode, but if I'm actually playing the game, because I start a game and I go in the tunnel to play the pinball side. Okay, if I grab the ball, right, I put it down the 500, it's registering the 500, the other 500, nothing. If I put it down this side, registering, that 500, registering, and if I pull the spinners round, that's registering, that's registering. If I move the ball here, that's registering, move the side, registering, and if I hit the drop targets, registering, 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 registering. Let's do that, put that on the other side, if not that one. Yeah, that's registering as well. So it is simply that 500 there that is not registering. So I need to have a look at that switch. Definitely not registering whatsoever. But I'll actually check the sides here. Yeah, it's working. Yeah, that's working as well. And I think for switches, that's pretty much it. So, so not bad, just one switch down. So baby Pacman seems to be 100% working now, so I thought I'd quickly go over exactly what I've done to fix all of this. So if we start at the back, and the MPU, if I come around here so you can see, I've replaced a couple of the connectors on the MPU here. Both the connectors and the pins were fairly corroded. This has had battery damage in the past. So what I ended up doing is cutting the connectors off because I didn't have any connectors that were identical to the ones that were on there originally, and I used a couple of Molex connectors that I had. Now I had a 15-pin one here, and normally this is replaced with a 16-pin, but I noticed a lot of the pins weren't connected, so I just used a 3-pin header here and a 10-pin header here, which works absolutely fine. Not particularly neat, because I had to cut a lot of the wires and then join them with some heat shrink, and you're probably wondering why I didn't put the wires directly into the connectors, and that was mainly because for two reasons. One, this wire here is quite flexible, so actually getting the pins in the connector was pretty hard, so I replaced this with like single core wire that was dead easy to push the connectors in. And also on a lot of the pins there was actually two wires going into one, so it was very difficult to get two wires into a crimp. So what I ended up doing is soldering kind of 3 wires together, 2 coming in and then 1 going out into the connector, and it seemed to work pretty well. So I mean, these needed to come off, they were badly corroded. In fact, I have them over here and I'll show you how bad they were. I'm not sure if you can see here, but let's have a look on that side. You can't really see, but the pins are completely green, and they were really badly corroded, so they had to come off. The second thing I had a look at was the monitor issue, and that was something really easy. And thanks to Gunblade for pointing this out to me. It was something I really needed to get sorted quickly. The monitor has a horizontal hold pot at the back there, and it was twisted fully clockwise. I don't know if you can quite see that, but once I turned that down, monitor was absolutely fine. I could see a picture on the screen, which was great. Third thing was, had a couple of issues with a lamp board. First one being that the right maze saucer wasn't working, and that was down to this connector here. The first pin on this was bent, so I've managed to bend it back into shape, so it's actually touching the pin, and that's working great now. The other left maze saucer was a failure of one of these transistors here. I can't remember exactly which one it was, I had to trace it back on the schematics, but one of these had failed, so I replaced that. And then I had a couple of issues with some of the lamps not fully coming on, and that was down to the couple of the thyristors on here. Again, it was a case of tracing it back on the schematics and seeing where that had failed, and replacing those. I forgot to mention as well that I actually reflowed a couple of the connectors on this board, and that really helped with the light situation. So so that was sorted. And the last thing I was kind of looking at was one of the switches. If you remember, I was looking at this tunnel lane here. This tunnel lane switched to 500, and it wasn't registering at all. I thought the MPU connector change might fix that, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. So I had a look under the playfield at the first of all the switch diode, and that was absolutely fine. So then I noticed something really obvious, and that was the switch contacts were permanently touching. so it would only register once and then never again. So what I did is prise the contacts apart on the switch, and that fixed the problem. So every time it was a ball was going over there, it was now registering. So there's a couple of things I need to redo on this. Nothing major. I'm kind of classing it as finished now, but drop targets at the back are a bit faded. Need to replace those, and I also need to get the spinner targets back in on each side. One there and one there, and then the playfield's pretty much complete. So yeah, I'm really pleased it's now sorted. It's been pretty much something like, well, 3 years, something like that, from the starting point. So I think the next stage will be trying to get a video of the gameplay as I'm playing it. It might prove a little bit difficult because I'll have to get some sort of camera set up on the playfield as well as on the screen. But for now, there's no problems playing. I'm not going to be able to do this one-handed.